Oops. So I don't know if anybody heard me.
No, we did not.
So we're just going to do that all over again. Good evening. Welcome to the Bridgeport Teaching and Learning Committee. Today's date is Thursday, February 23rd, 2023. Time is 6:32 p.m. In attendance is myself, Chair Christine Baptiste Perez, and then we also have Joseph Lombard. The first item on our agenda is approval from October 25th, 2022. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the minutes from October 25th, 2022.
I second. Is there any amendments, edits, changes?
No.
Okay, so we'll move forward. All in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Minutes from October 25th, 2022 have been approved. The second item on our agenda is discussion and possible action to approve Bridgeport Military Academy's field trip to, I'm going to destroy that name, high school in New Jersey. Passaic High School in Passaic, New Jersey on March 25th, 2023. Thank you. We have a representative from BMA. Please say your name for the record.
This is Lieutenant Commander Travis Brewster.
Thank you. Just present a little bit about the field trip, the purpose of the trip. According to board policy, it has to be linked to an educational purpose.
Sure. The Navy JROTC is going to go to a drill competition, which is sanctioned by the Area 4 manager. We compete in these drill competitions to show off our kids' skills and also win awards. Last year at Passaic, we won first place in our freshman color guard. Typically, what we do is we go up and back in the same day. The only reason why we require approval is because we're going out of state. It is up and back in the same day, and it's linked to our education plan because we teach them drill, and so this is a way for us to demonstrate that how effective we are at teaching it, as well as give them a chance to compete against other schools. There's usually about 20 schools that compete.
Very nice. I'll open up the floor to the committee, which is me and Mr. Lombard. Any questions or comments?
No, I do not. Good luck on it.
Thank you.
Yep. I do have one comment. Can you bring home another win?
That's the goal. Yes, ma'am. We're better than we were last year, so hopefully.
Check through the permission slips. I don't have any comments. So seeing that there are no comments or additional questions at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve Bridgeport Military Academy's field trip to Passaic High School in New Jersey on March 25th, 2023.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. The motion's been approved. And this is next month. So this field trip item will be presented at the next Board of Education meeting on the 27th.
Okay, do I need to be present for that, or?
Someone will need to be present just to present to the full board. That's
Yes, ma'am. No problem.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next item on our agenda. Item number 3 is discussion and possible action to approve Winthrop School's field trip to Nature's Classroom in April 2023.
Hello, this is Tammy Santee. Could we also have Laura talk at the same time, because she's with Marin? It's the same trip for the TAG students for both schools.
I split up the agenda item because the field trips are supposed to occur on 2 different days, 2 different schools.
No,
So
they're the same days.
Oh, that was not initially informed.
They're both April 3rd through the 5th.
April 3rd through 5th. Okay. You can present the information together. We're going to hold 2 separate votes because there are 2 separate agenda items just for formality.
Okay.
Okay, so, and then just because we looked at, in case there's any questions regarding the permission slips, um, it could just be applicable to one school and not the other. So the presentation regarding the content can be done jointly and we'll just vote separately. Although I don't see any issue, but that's the way we'll go through it. So you guys can present together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
We wanted to provide the students with real-world connections to STEM and science. They're going to learn how the properties and movements of water shape Earth's surface and affect its systems. They have also, the Winthrop students have also gone on a nature walk and observed life and science animals out in nature. So this is going to connect to that. We also have had animals in our classrooms. We've had an ant farm, we've had a rotting log. So this all is in connection with Earth and living organisms. And we've also observed water and how the water tables move when there's like significant like storms. So we've done all of that, and this just connects to that.
In addition, at Marin with our tag students, they have been able to attend a trip to the Maritime Aquarium and learn about animals that are native to our region and invasive to our region. And we also have a pollinator garden that's being built that students are going to be involved in. Again, discussions on the wildlife that grows that is native to our ecosystem and invasive. So this gives them an opportunity to be out in a more of a urban nature setting so that they can see what the wildlife in our region looks like. That gives them a chance to understand native plants and animals versus invasive animals and plants, in addition to the understanding of the role that water plays and kind of come full circle for students in that understanding. The trip is an overnight. So the students would be leaving on April 3rd and returning on April 5th. The overnight trip, again, is to learn about the different streams and ponds in the environment. And it really gives the students an opportunity to learn about and visit different areas on those different days. So it's not just triggered to that one area one day. We can kind of expand on different areas and over the course of the 3 days that students would be there.
Does that complete the presentation?
Yes, for at least for Marin, and I think that on Winthrop's side as well.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Lombard, do you have any questions, comments?
No questions, thank you.
I have a quick question. The two schools will have, I'm assuming, you could tell me if this is correct, even though it's the same field trip, the same time, there'll be a bus leaving from Marin School with Marin's children, and then a bus leaving from Winthrop with Winthrop children, correct? It's not going to be shared in the same bus?
I think we are sharing a bus. Yeah, we are sharing a bus. They're going to pick up one group and then the next.
Oh, okay. And I don't see any issues with the student to adult proportion. Most of the, I see the permission slips are in.
Yes.
The insurance documents have been completed for the field trip overnight.
Yes, I believe Dr. Morgan had done that.
Okay. I could just follow up and make sure. I have no further questions. Mr. Lombard?
No, thank you.
Okay. Just break it down separately. So the first motion will, I'll entertain a motion to approve Winthrop Schools field trip to Nature's Classroom, April 3rd through April 5th, 2023.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. The motion's been approved for Winthrop School. The next item on the agenda is discussion and possible approval for Marin Schools field trip to Nature's Classroom on April 3rd through 5th, 2023. Discussion has already occurred jointly with item number 3. Is there any additional questions regarding Marin's content to the field trip? None for myself.
No,
Mr.
thank you.
Lombard? Okay, so we'll entertain the motion to approve Marin Schools field trip to Nature's Classroom on April 3rd through April 5th, 2023.
So moved.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next item on the agenda, number 5, is discussion and possible action to approve Multicultural Magnet Schools field trip to Boston, Massachusetts from May 31st, 2023 to June 2nd, 2023.
Press the button. Okay. Hello. So our trip will be from May 31st to June 2nd. It is 3 days, 2 nights, Boston, Massachusetts. It is twofold. First, it is an academic educational trip. The second is a social emotional component where the children will be together for that amount of time, get to know each other, get to meet new people, out, listen to different cultures, really, because Boston is like New York, a melting pot. We are basically covering multiple academic subject areas. For example, history obviously is the #1 component. They will be taking a tour of part of the Freedom Trail. They will be attending the, hold on, Boston Tea Party Museum, I'm sorry. In addition, science is also included. They'll be going to the New England Aquarium, and there'll be a theater presentation. It usually varies from month to month on the subject. The last time we went, it was dealing with whales and the environment and how to protect them, etc. They will be going to the New England the Science Museum, which I have been to personally, is amazing. There's a lot of hands-on, there's technology, there's history, so there's your science component. Insofar as the social emotional, we will be attending a show performed by the Blue Man Group, which is very popular. We've done it in the past. The kids get to interact with the performers, something that many of them have never gotten to do because they can't get, away from their circumstance, whatever. They will be attending a Boston Red Sox game. Many of our students have never attended a live, any type of game. They've watched it on TV, they've played it. Many of them don't know anything about baseball. Again, we've had the experience where we've given them lessons. They've had a wonderful time interacting, learning about the game. Boston Red Sox Stadium is the second oldest stadium in the United States. So there you have another piece of history. In the ELA curriculum, we have been reading a lot of African American material, from Langston Hughes poetry to the to autobiographical with regards to the Tulsa riots, the experience of the African American individual in their struggles throughout the beginning of slavery up to the present. So this is another way of them actually seeing visually that this did exist. They'll have their own tour guide the entire time, every single day, and they will provide additional information, not only from what they're watching, they'll be bringing it from school, because in 7th grade, they do study the American Revolution. It goes on to the Civil War, the Emancipation Proclamation, etc. So it's literally combining everything together for a very enriched enriching experience.
Thank you for your presentation. Kind of get the gist of this. Going to open up the floor. Do you have any questions or comments, Mr. Lombard?
Yes, I just want to thank you for a fantastic presentation, tying the trip, every aspect of the trip to different academic and social emotional learning opportunities. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great time.
I see the insurance forms are included.
Mhm.
Don't see any issues with the permission slips. No, it sounds great. I don't think the full board has approved the social emotional aspect to it, but
I mean,
it's nice to hear the thought process going into how the field trip's going to.
I mean, in the past few years, especially, you know, after COVID, we're still in COVID. Bridgeport, this has been the big push, the social emotional. What better way of doing it than being out there where they are exposed to different cultures, different languages, and just life in general. You know, too many of these kids have been closed in, held back from being out there. And you can see it at school when they're still wearing masks and they're still with their heads down. This is an excellent way of bringing them out of their comfort zone. And let me tell you a brief story. We went 4 years ago, same trip, couple of different things. We had a young man, his name is Neri, was as shy can be, did not speak to his peers, would not interact. He's a senior now. This trip brought out the best in him. We went on a dinner evening cruise and they had music. This young man shocked everyone.
Now, and he's now going to Boston University where he wants to study anthropology, because that was one of the places that we took him 4 years ago when we went to Boston.
So, I mean, the proof is there. And if Bridgeport wants to enhance our students, enrich our students, this is the perfect way. And I believe that wholeheartedly.
That's really powerful, and thank you for sharing. I don't have no doubt in the field trip. I think it just helps from the years of being sheltered during lockdown to some of these students' very first moments. So you won't get a nay from me, but we'll have to entertain the motion first. And so hearing no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion to approve Multicultural Magnet Schools field trip to Boston, Massachusetts on May 31st to June 2nd, 2003.
So moved.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have fun. Let me know if you need another chaperone.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much. The next item on our agenda is discussion and possible action to approve High Horizon Magnet Schools field trip to Washington, D.C. from May 30th, 2023 to June 2nd, 2023.
Hi, good evening. This is Francine Carbone, the principal at High Horizons Magnet School. How are you?
Good evening. I'm well, thank you.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present this evening. I will try to keep it as brief as possible. High Horizons would like to revitalize our trip that we used to take every year prior to COVID to Washington, D.C. The trip is scheduled for Tuesday, May 30th through Friday, June 2nd, 4 days and 3 nights. Every single day is jam-packed with activities for the students. The instructional focus is American government in 8th grade. So what better to see American government brought to life than to actually go to our nation's capital. Some of the highlights of the trip are being able to visit the Martin Luther King Monument, the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Korean War Veterans Memorial, the White House, seeing Congress. We were lucky enough to get tickets to the African American Museum, the Arlington National Cemetery, the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum. So lots of great life activities for the students to embark on during the trip to Washington. One of the things that we did is we hired a tour group, Fantastic Tours, to actually make sure that this is orchestrated in a safe and orderly fashion and that everyone stays together. One of the highlights of this touring agency is that they provide security for the students as well. So in addition to having a 1-to-6 ratio for chaperones and students, there's also security that's provided during the day and also in the overnight hours when the students are in the hotel as well.
Thank you for your presentation. I'll open up the floor to any questions. Mr.
No
Lombard?
questions. No questions. Thank you.
Again, I've checked the insurance forms. Everything seems fine. The proportion students to a chaperones is fine. I don't see any issues. Immediately, I think this is another fantastic field trip for our students to go through to all those sites. I lived in DC for a semester in college, so I enjoyed the museums.
Yeah, I always tell the kids when I retire, that's where I'm going to move because there's something different to do every single day, and you're always able to learn when you're there.
Oh, it's one place to live.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I've lived in Bridgeport my whole life. I can hang in DC.
Seeing that there's no further questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion to approve High Horizon Magnet Schools field trip to Washington, D.C., May 30th, 2023 to June 2nd, 2023.
So moved.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. This motion's been approved and it will be presented not at this not the Board of Education meeting on February 27th, but the preceding. So we'll give you notice just as to when it's going to go before the board for full approval.
Okay, that would be great. Just because I want to make sure that we give a final approval to our families. This trip is kind of expensive, so I want to make sure that we don't run into any glitches with getting an approval before the trip is scheduled and we're eligible for a refund.
Oh, yeah, no, that was actually an error on my part. It's just given the agenda item for our upcoming board meeting is extremely long. And so if it's not a pressing date, but still
Perfect.
within the reimbursement period, we're kind of delegating it out that way.
Okay,
Okay, thank you so much.
thank you. Have a great evening.
You too.
Good night.
Right. And that now we're going to move on to our special education update. Who's presenting on that?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Good evening. It's Shemaine Johnson, Director of Specialized Instruction. There was a report prepared in advance. That's what I'll be reading from this evening. The update, the Bridgeport Board of Education entered into a contract in the fall of 2022 with the Urban Collaborative for an in-depth review of special education services within the district. The review process examines student and district level data collection and analysis, stakeholder interview focus group data collection. The consultants interviewed 20 families of students with special needs and over 125 employees. The team was in the district for 3 days in November and collected observational data through classroom visits at 7 of our schools, pre-K through 12th grade. The consultants have prepared a draft report, which will include the strengths, challenges, vulnerabilities, and recommendations for improvement. This draft report will be shared with the interim superintendent and the cabinet on Monday, February 28th, 2023. The initial recommendations fall into the following categories: student experience, family engagement, teaching and learning and leadership, special education student level decision making, special education systems, cabinet vision, and leadership. Special education in the district continues to focus on professional learning and capacity building of staff. This week, 45 special education teachers received training through the Capital Region Educational Council for strategies for teaching children with dyslexia. The department continues to respond to a compliance complaint from the 21-22 school year and is working cooperatively with the State Department of Education to resolve those issues. In November, all administrators participated in a workshop conducted by Bertram and Moses on special education procedures and student disciplinary matters. The department also received a grant through the Center of Educational Innovation, and through the grant is providing a training for interested teachers to learn how to apply and integrate specific learning strategies for children with special needs through visual arts and music. And lastly, the department continues to work on the transition to the new state level platform for IEP data management, affectionately known as CT-SEDS. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. I'll open up the floor to any questions.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson, thank you for your report. Was there any kind of a narrative? I know they gave all those areas, those 4 areas, which are going to be presented to the superintendent. Actually, it's the 27th is Monday, just so you know, because our point. But in any case, that's going to be very detailed. They broke it down at those. But was there a general feedback, like a response, even if it's oral or verbal or or narrative from them? Because I did meet with I think all the board members had the opportunity to meet with the consultants briefly so when they were first starting. I'm wondering if they had any kind of just general feedback.
I wouldn't say there was one general thing. There are many areas that we should look at. I think one of the biggest takeaways is how we provide services. We will have an in-depth conversation on best practices in terms of service implementation for our students with special needs across the district.
Okay, thank you. One thing I will share that when they were here, there was an overall sense of being impressed with the professionalism and enthusiasm and desire to do the best possible from the staff across the district. They're really happy with what they saw from the personnel at the personnel level. So I think that was something positive that could be shared, tonight. So
that is definitely something to celebrate.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Problem. That was actually one of the questions I was going to ask. Is we have our biggest takeaway, but in addition to that, what was some of the positive highlights that can be shared with the public from the special education update that we're doing right, I guess, in the district?
One thing that was positive was how families felt supported and felt that their children were in settings where, similar to what Mr. Lombard just shared, staff members were working hard in supporting them and providing successful experiences for their students. And I think that's always important, especially as we want to continue to reinforce that parents are partners in the process. Sometimes we may not always agree about how we get there. The goal is to see our children be successful. So that was something I think is worth celebrating, and we want to continue that we are operating in that vein.
Nice. And then there were 7 schools. Can it be? I don't think there's an issue disclosing what schools.
I don't have that in front of me. When we provide the update, that can be shared with you.
Okay. No, I'm looking forward to knowing more details on it. It's good to hear some of the positives and the areas for growth. At this time, I have no further questions or comments. I And there's no action on this item. I think once, oh, just to clarify, it's the 27th, Monday the 27th is when the
Yes.
interim superintendent.
Yes.
executive-
Monday
Okay.
is the 27th, but I don't know if they're meeting on Tuesday, the 28th or Monday, the 27th.
The 28th. So I
Okay.
said Tuesday, the 28th.
Tuesday, okay. That's right.
We are
Oh.
meeting this week. So the sooner we hear, the sooner you will hear.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'll look forward to getting additional information, but I mean, this is just an update. So, thank you very much.
You are welcome.
We're now going to move to the next item on our agenda, which is discussion and possible action regarding a memorandum of agreement for a math endorsement to increase Bridgeport Public Schools certified teaching pool. Ms. Alter Dixon? Nope, you're muted. You're muted again.
You're off mute now.
I see. I don't know what was going on. Okay, I'm sorry. Good evening, everyone. Yes, so last year we created cross endorsement incentives, and we created them last year for WorldLink, TESOL, and ESL, and bilingual and special ed. This year, we are seeking to create the cross endorsement incentives for math and science. As we've discussed numerous times, these are some of the major shortage areas for teachers. When we sent out the initial feeler to our staff, we had approximately 10 senior teachers or experienced teachers interested in science and 10 interested in math. So the MOU, it creates an agreement that we will offset certain costs, and we would also increase their salary as long as they maintain the position in this area for, I believe the MOU says 3 years. If during the 3 years they cease to teach in Bridgeport under this new endorsement, then they would have to repay the city of Bridgeport, and it will be prorated over the course of time. So this is one of the ways we are seeking to fill our vacancies. ELA and elementary, those seem to be the more popular areas for teachers still in the state of Connecticut. So by taking our teachers who hold ELA or elementary and having them cross-endorsed in science, math will definitely help us into next year.
Thank you, Ms. Alter Dixon.
You're welcome.
I'll open up the floor to any questions.
Thank you. Could you briefly describe how that process works, what's involved for the teacher and for the district?
Yes. So the nice thing now is with the state has relaxed some of its certification requirements. And one thing now, teachers can get cross-certified in certain areas, if they passed a praxis exam. So what we are going to do is we are going to provide training or a course, crash course, you could sort of say, in math or in science to help prepare these teachers to take the praxis exam. Once they take and pass the praxis exam, we will apply for their cross endorsement in that area.
Okay, thank you. And then without being necessarily specific, although it is public information, I guess, is the increase in salary consistent regardless of the grade level or the subject, math or science? Is it the same idea, same bump, same percentage?
Yes, I believe we are doing a 2-step increase. If they're at the highest level, if they're already at the highest step, I believe, and I'm sorry, it's an additional $7,500.
Mhm. And so that's something that stays while you said while they're teaching under that cross endorsement. So if they stayed with the district but did not teach math or science, would that increase no longer continue during those 3 years, or how does that work?
They would be reverted back to their original
Reverted.
step. The whole
And-
point of this, the
Right.
salary increase, this incentive is for them to remain in that area.
And then after the 3 years, what happens at that point as far as their compensation if they continue to remain in that science or math area? Do they
It'll
continue?
just continue as they'll get raises or increases as set forth by their contract.
Okay, but that bump will still be there. That $7,500 bump will remain beyond the 3 years. I think so.
No.
No.
If they were already at the top step, then yes, they would get that money going forward. But if they're, let's say, if someone is hired, currently working at step 8, they agree to go forward, then that means they would be bumped up to step 10.
I see.
And then they'll continue to have step increases pursuant to their contract.
Right, I see. And okay, and that's as long as they stay for those 3 years. And then-
Correct.
Okay, okay, yeah, I was just curious how it actually shakes out. So these are obviously people who have the coursework already for that subject, even though they were not certified in math or science. They just need to take the praxis. Or you said they're doing a crash course. What is that about?
We're going to help them prepare for the praxis
Right.
exam.
But they already have the credits on their transcript.
No, they might not. Not all of them do. It used to be in the past where you needed the credits in order to get cross endorsed, but now because of the shortage area, you can get, they're allowing you to get cross endorsed by passing the praxis for certain areas.
I see. And is this for any grade level? Well, it starts science will be specific middle school through high school. Is that what it is?
7 through 12 for both of them, science and
7
math.
through 12. So any, okay. Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all, man.
I just have a few questions. What's the highest level again? Just to understand the bump up and bump down that was previously asked by Mr. Lombard.
Oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank. Step 16, I believe, is our highest level.
Okay. So wait, I just want to make sure I understand. So if I'm a teacher, I go through the crash course, I pass the practice exam. I'm a level 8 because that's the example you provided earlier. I get bumped up 2 levels to a level 10, and I teach math for the following 3 years.
Right.
At the end of the 3 years, I'm bumped back down to a level
No.
8, or
No.
I'm 10 and going forward.
You're 10 and going forward. Or you might be going forward throughout. As the contract, right now, their current contract gives them a step increase through next year. And we'll start negotiating their contract this summer.
Okay. Then how long is the crash course? I think you may have mentioned that, but
I think there's no clear-cut time frame yet. I know that Mr. Platis, the math department, he's been working on it. He actually had a quick meeting with possible candidates. Portia Scott for the science department, she's been working on it as well. I don't think we have a clear time frame. I think we're going to try to work with the teachers as much as they need, and let's hope that they pass first try at the praxis exam.
okay. And in terms of math, have we reached a 10 teacher capacity? Like, do we have 10 teachers interested in the district, or are we still trying to recruit and find teachers?
We had over 10 candidates submit inquiries and interest, and based on our cursory review of them, I believe we narrowed it down to 10, about 10 for math, 10 for science. Nothing is finalized yet since we were waiting on the MOUs before we go and have everyone sign up and finalize who's going to pursue this. But we're hoping that these candidates are still interested and will pursue it.
Okay, and assuming the MOU is passed by the full board, do you have an idea of which practice, I always pronounced it wrong, even when I was a teacher, which exam they'll be taking? Will it be over the summer? I know they do a few tests throughout the year, or used to have a few tests throughout the year for certification.
Yes, I think it's going to be at the decision in part of the teacher, but we want to make sure that they've passed a practice before the start of next year. I mean, if they didn't, we'll continue to work with them, but they need to have successfully passed a praxis exam. So I'm guessing they're going to try to take it sooner rather than later, in case they need to retake it.
And no, I know this is an MOU. I read it, but I can't remember it right now. But if they're not successful the first time, they're responsible for the cost of the exam, or are we going to pay for them to take it again?
We pay. I believe the MOU says we'll pay for the first attempt.
Yeah, that sounds right. Okay. No, I think this is something proactive that we can do in the district to fill an area of need, especially with math and science. I have no further questions.
I have something.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. Lombard. You have.
Yeah, this may be beyond this memorandum, but do you know of any discussion around extra additional ongoing supports for these new soon-to-be math and science instructors in our district? Because these are people who may not have any coursework and they have no background. They're willing and they'll pass the praxis, obviously. That's fantastic. But I feel like they would probably and we would benefit, the students would benefit from some kind of ongoing PD for this particular cadre, this particular group of our math and science teachers, over and above what already happens, maybe at least during the first 3 years when they're trying to succeed in that trial period. Is there any discussion around that?
We totally agree with you. And thankfully, David Henry, Portia Scott in the science department, and Herminio Planas and his math department are really ready to help these teachers. And I know that in my department, Michael Brosnan and Steve Correa, they'll continue to work with the teachers as they transition as well. So ongoing PD is a great idea, and that's something that we are looking into. And I know that they'll offer them support and within their departments.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's all, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing that there's no further discussion or comments at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement for a math endorsement to increase Bridgeport Public Schools certified teaching pool.
Madam Chair, can I just interject before you vote? I'm sorry. David Henry was kind enough to shoot me an email, and when I said a crash course, he wanted me to make sure to clarify that it's actually a well thought out program that the science department has created. And I know in speaking to Mr. Planas, same thing, that it is not, I said crash course in the sense that it's going to be focusing on getting them ready for the praxis exam, but both departments have a much better thought out plan than a crash course.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Lombard.
Yes, so I will say so moved.
Second. I just have one comment to that. I believe it's going to be more planned out than a crash course. And I think that's something, Mr. Henry's available when this does come in front of the full board. Most of the time, Mr. Planis is here. So if there's any questions regarding the detail to the preparation for the exam, all board members will be able to ask, and I'm confident because the switch your teaching area, that can definitely get people, and they'll need support for it. But that's the end of my comment. So the motion's been moved. I second it. That was my comment. Any further comments or discussion?
No, thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. This will be presented at our next full board meeting on February 27th. Okay.
Thank you.
All
Next.
right.
Go to the science now.
Oh, well, this is another, it's almost a twofer, but we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is discussion and possible action regarding the memorandum of agreement for a science endorsement, to increase the certified teaching pool. I'm pretty sure you touched on both topics, but if there's anything in addition for science, as Mr. Henry may be texting you right now.
Yeah, I will add, it appears that Mr. Henry and Portia Scott have scheduled 6 sessions between February and June, March, to meet with all candidates interested in the cross endorsement for science. It looks like there'll be 2 hours each session.
Okay. Do we have any issues with the level of interest for science as opposed to math? Do we have the 10 potential teachers?
We
already?
had, when we did the initial review, we had about 10 teachers interested.
I'm gonna ask an out there question that we didn't ask before. Let's say I'm a teacher in a district and I wasn't selected as one of the 10. And I'm gonna take the test anyway because I want to be a science teacher, and this is also applicable to math. And I pass, and you have 9 out of your 10 teachers for this science. I'm going to say MOU, even though it's a memorandum of agreement. You have 9 out of 10 teachers. Can I qualify to step in if we as a district still have an opening available?
We did not explore that possibility. It is always a possibility. I think filling the vacancies with certified, qualified, and dedicated teachers is important. So if I am not opposed to considering bringing that person into the I call it I forgot what a fellowship or something. I'm not opposed to considering that situation.
Okay, Mr. Lombard?
Yes, I'm wondering, is 10 a particular number, or if there were 11 or 12, would that, up front from the get-go, would that be fine too? Or is 10 what the need is?
I think 10 was just the number we placed to our goal, to cap it at 10. Since it's a new initiative, we want to make sure that it's beneficial, and that not necessarily it has to be 100% successful, but we want to make sure that it's meeting the needs of our district to the best of its ability.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Yeah. Yeah. Going to ask something that's a little bit off. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's the question I have is if we add 10 additional new math teachers and 10 additional science teachers, will that, I think it's a no-brainer, but how close will that be to closing the shortage for certified teachers in those areas? I guess if we were short 10 teachers and replacing 10 teachers, we've closed the gap in. But if, will we be able to accomplish having a full amount of certified math teachers or science teachers by these new cohorts of fellowships?
If numbers stayed status quo as they are now, I believe that they would be pretty close, if not fully staffed. Unfortunately, I don't know what's going to happen with retirements or resignations as we continue through the end of the year. But at this point, both math and science have about anywhere from 9 to 13 vacancies.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions. Mr. Lombard?
No, thank you.
Okay. Seeing that there's no further discussion or questions regarding the item, I'll now entertain a action to approve and present to the full board a memorandum of agreement for a science endorsement to increase the certified teaching pool.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. This will be presented to the full board on February 27, 2023. Thank you, Ms. Dixon. And then the last item on the agenda is discussion and possible action regarding library media renewal project.
Good evening. This evening, I will present an oral overview of the work we've begun with the Library Media Renewal Project. And hopefully next week, next month, this item could be added back to the agenda for possible action. Library media centers in our schools serve to support a love of literacy, research, critical thinking, social consciousness, and help our students become critical consumers of information. Currently, under our ESSER grant, $1 million has been allocated for school year 22-23 to renew resources in our libraries. This money has been delegated for what I would call phase 1 in the project to cover our 28 pre-K-8 schools. We have been fortunate enough to be awarded a grant for $2 million from the federal government, which would be utilized during school year 23-24 to continue phase 2 of the Library Media Renewal Project. The phase 2 part of the renewal would cover our high schools and what I would call special populations, making sure we have a diverse resource of materials for students receiving services, multilingual learners, preschool students, making sure we're supporting different content areas such as social studies and science and our high school pathways. Today, I will spend the majority of the time describing the work that has occurred under phase 1. Being that we do not have a director of library media specialist, Lisette Valier, the library media specialist at Park City Magnet, has been leading the work with library media specialists across several schools. We have approximately 19 library media specialists. That's a special certification. Approximately 11 of our schools do not have library media specialists, but they do have certified teachers to support student access to media centers. To support the purchase of materials based on student interest, we will be administering a survey within the next 2 weeks to students in grades K through 8. And we will use that feedback based on students' interest to support the process of looking at print materials, books and magazines for libraries. When those books are ordered, they're already bound, like have a hard bound, and if they are within the Dewey Decimal System nonfiction, they'll come pre-prepared. We are also in the process of previewing various digital products. The primary product we have earmarked is a product from Capstone Publishing Company, one of the largest book publishing companies, as well as digital publishing companies in the country. The product is called Pebble Go and Pebble Go Next. It is a premier product among library media centers. Our comparable school districts in Fairfield County use it. The library media specialists think it's like the Cadillac or the Mercedes-Benz of digital products. So that is the #1 product currently that the media specialists would like to purchase for our students. Pebble Go is primarily for grades pre-K to 3. Pebble Go Next is for grades 4 through 8. It provides text, video, research support. It wouldn't just be solely used by media specialists. It would be used by classroom teachers as well. It's my hope that I can present a comprehensive overview of the process, the results of the student survey, and contracts for your consideration next month to complete phase 1 of the library renewal and to lay out a blueprint for the expansion of phase 2 with our high schools and special populations during the month of March.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. I will open up the floor to the committee. Any questions, Mr. Lombard? Comments?
No, I just want, for clarification, there's no action proposed tonight, is that correct?
No action tonight,
Okay,
just discussion.
okay. And then I'm just curious, you mentioned that the Pebble Go and then Pebble Go Next were for K through 8 combined. Is there something being adopted for 9 through 12?
Not at this time. I am working with the one library media specialist at Harding High School. So she has been a point person for the committee and to me. So we will continue with phase 2. We're investigating like EBSCO Host, Sora. These are other digital products to support the high schools, but I will need to reach out to some of the content area coordinators in the other high schools to make sure I'm addressing each high school's needs, since each high school has different pathway.
And then you mentioned Harding. Is there any coordination with the area university with their libraries? You know, Harding being on UB's campus soon, but even in general. Sorry, I apologize. I got that. Thank you for correcting me. Bassick. So, but any one of the high schools in general, and with any one of the universities or the community college, state college system, maybe it already exists, but is there some kind of integration and access to their libraries?
At this time, I'm not able to answer the question, but what I can do, Mr. Lombard, in preparation for March, I will have the answer to that question. Our teachers, several of them teach adjunct because we offer the early college experience from UConn, University of Bridgeport, University of New Haven. I will assess their access to the university libraries. I know previously, under previous leadership at Fairchild Wheeler, they did have an explicit partnership with the Bridgeport Public Library. So in exploring our high schools, I'll look to see if they have access to those libraries. I'm going to guess yes. Teaching adjunct at Western, I have access to their libraries, but I want to be sure that that is actual fact.
Okay, and so and then I'm wondering if it would be something that the students would have access, even if it was just at the school's terminals or computers or something, some kind of logon that would allow them themselves, and not only the either library specialists or certified teachers that are manning the libraries. Is that, so I think you were talking about the staff access, is that right?
Right, so I can ask and find out if students in those ECE courses in partnership with our university, if the students have access as well.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
I only have one thing, and I was almost tempted to start searching online for it, is just a little bit more information about Pebble Go and Pebble Next.
If you want, you can get a free access code when you are searching. So if children want to research reptiles, it has a large collection of materials for reptiles or animals, dinosaurs, famous people, sites. It's very colorful, interactive, kind of like encyclopedia. So the text is often read to the children at the lower level. You can press on it and get an MLA citation. So when children have to cite the text in, say, their PowerPoint, the source, they can lift it, almost copy and paste. So it's more abridged for the little children. It becomes more complex for the older children. We are looking at digital first to expedite the foundation. Print materials will be purchased as well, books, magazines, because children still go into many of the media centers. The only exception is, and I'm exploring the purchase of classroom libraries in schools that may not have a certified media specialist. So teachers would have access to collections for Black History projects. So that would be in that second phase. And I was looking at a collection today at Bryant School that's in the classroom, because Bryant, as an example, does not have a certified media specialist full-time.
And this is more of just a practical question, and you already kind of touched on it. If there's no media specialist to access Pebble Go, you need to have that media specialist to like log on and have the students have access to it, or is that something that's like on the college level? If I wanted to log on to my school's library and look up a book or an article, I'm able to do it. Is it something like that where the children have capacity to take it home as well, or is it solely in the classroom?
Pebble Go, any digital resources, students would have access at home through their individual devices. Our IT department has begun to vet Pebble Go to make sure their digital interface would work with our PowerSchool and our program called ClassLink. So when children need to go onto a digital product, they open their iPad or computer, and there are several icons on a dashboard called ClassLink. and they're automatically signed in. I believe little children have like QR codes they put up to the camera. So they can access that product at home through their Bridgeport Public Schools ClassLink site. Classroom teachers will be exposed to these resources. Visiting Bryant today, they were working on individual biographies, not just the research, but there was an art project connected and doing research in preparation for next week, where they present to each other in the library. So that's one of the reasons why we wouldn't just purchase for media. The media center teacher is kind of like a resource or a hub within the school. The media center is a hub, the media specialist is a resource. In those schools that do not have it, all the teachers would be made aware to support research at the classroom level.
Thank you. Mr. Lombard? Questions?
Yeah, just so I understand, was this phase one part of the 22-23 ESSER, or is that part of the plan for the 23-24 $2 million grant?
It's a part of the 22-23 ESSER, so we need to encumber the funds by April 1st. And that's, I guess, maybe it's April 6th, but I do know by the beginning of April, our CFO has asked us to complete phase one and to plan to launch July 2023, phase two.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Okay. I have no further questions at this time. It was initially presented that we would be taking action on this, but because there is some time before we actually need to take action, I won't entertain a motion, but just keep me abreast of all the updates so then when action needs to be taken.
I will leave and begin the process of preparing for action. So I will gather the necessary quotes,
Okay.
develop a PowerPoint, collect information on students' interest, answer Mr. Lombard's question, and lay out a plan for phase two development for the new school year. But I didn't know it would be an action item. I just wanted you to be aware before a final presentation.
That is so helpful. It's really helpful to know in advance.
Right, and then I can have some of your input, so I would have this answer to the questions you have. And any other questions that may come up when you report, so I could be prepared.
Now you make me feel like I should have asked you more questions. Mr. Lombard?
I'm thinking, no, nothing.
But no, now this is actually really good just to have advanced thought into the process and acts. Yeah, but if given that there's time, that's good to know if we have questions.
Ms. Chair, I actually, Dr. Jenkins, you mentioned that money needs to be encumbered by April 3rd, was it?
Our CFO would like us to encumber all purchases. I believe it's by April 6th.
April 6th.
April
So
6th.
I'm just thinking of this coming in front of the committee again, so we can move it to the full board as far as timing goes.
Yeah.
Just for, so when you're prepared to present and have us take action, we need to come back to the committee. So it's just for, and I don't know when our next committee meeting is, but it won't be until, I would think, late March. So, and then it would have to go to the full board. So just wanted to call it to your attention.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take that as I need to keep my meetings going, okay? But thank you, Dr. Jenkins. I think it's good. We got a knowledge of the time and additional, and you will know what to prepare. Okay. I'm pretty sure we're at the last item on the agenda, which is a motion to adjourn.
So move.
I'll second. Yes, it is. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. The meeting is adjourned. The time now is 7:42 PM. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.